Voodoo Bloo released their second album, The Blessed Ghost, and we have with us Rory McDonald, singer, guitarist, and songwriter for the Wellington-based quartet. According to the band's own publicity, The Blessed Ghost is shaped by the concept of a fictional love interest, but with a twist. So let's twist again with Rory McDonald and Voodoo Bloo.
We were promised so much, your tide still turns the same old tea. Your ideologies don't win no lottery. We are getting so old, my fate's inside your skin and bone. The one it holds.
Oh, I am super excited. It feels like such a long time coming now. But you know, there's always a little bit of fear just before something drops. You know how people are gonna take it and everything like that. But I mean, you know, excitement is the key thing of.
Well, that's
the
good.
moment.
It's good to talk to somebody who's excited about it. A lot of folks have been like having their albums sitting around for months, and by the time it's finally getting out, because it's been postponed dozens of times, they're just like done with it and moved on to the next thing.
Yeah. No. A lot of time, a lot of effort has been put into it, and it's going to be such a relief.
And are you doing a gig or anything tomorrow?
No gig tomorrow, though we will be doing a live stream event. I believe it's sometime next week to play the album in full on High Viz Jams. So that should be really fun. Also, our first live gig after the album drops will be at Massey University. Also, probably quite a lot of the album tracks there, I would imagine.
So it's an interesting album. I'd be keen to hear what it sounds like live, because I mean, first of all, it's called the Blessed Ghost. So folks who and it starts out with it doesn't exactly start out with a banger. You know what I'm saying?
It doesn't. That was a very purposeful choice to sort of draw people in and have this sort of ballad thing going into the album just before we go into the second song, Pursuit, there, and really try and lift the energy and the spirit of the album after that.
Right. So the opener is more of a spoken recording. What exactly is going on there?
Hey, so I know this may sound stupid, but what if we just use this for the beginning of the album? I know we listened to a couple of different things that you sent through to the chat and whatever, but I don't know, I just wanted to talk for a little bit, purely because, this is my last day of sort of being a teenager today.
So that recording is just before I turned 20. It's like the day before I turned 20 there, and for one reason or another, I should have been having my midlife crisis a lot later on, I think. But for some reason, I decided
you will.
Yeah. The second wind will come. I sort of just had this moment just before I turned 20 for one reason or another, and I was like, maybe I should just record a little letter to myself.
Right.
And we listened to a lot of different albums that had sort of spoken word intros, and I was just like, maybe this is a good time when I'm figuring out what the hell I'm doing here and what my purpose is and whatnot. So yeah, that's how it came to be.
Cool. So there's somewhat of a concept to this record. So for folks who aren't familiar, give us the lowdown.
Yeah. So the album is basically, the Blessed Ghost itself is sort of a mirror reflection, I guess, or me trying to put myself into another character's shoes and to be able to take a look at myself and say, this is what you're good at, this is what you could probably improve on. Just sort of tying into that theme of the existential crisis. It's kind of breaking myself apart in a healthy way, not in a depressive or a cynical way necessarily, and just sort of breaking myself apart and going, what can we do? What can we do moving forward? And it's very much based in the mental health space, just in the same way the first album was. So a lot of self-reflection and a lot going on.
But the second album is generally much different than the first album for bands, and I assume for you writing the song. So how are you a different person making this record than you were when you did the first one?
Well, one thing that definitely started it all off, I went to see a therapist after the first album was done, and he was sort of talking about that very thing, about how, so like even a businessman will have their first venture, and then as soon as it's over, they have this moment of, okay, what am I going to do with myself now, and,
Right.
and how am I going to pick up the pieces? So, in a sense, as well as that whole self-realization thing, it definitely came out of I think I might have even said this in the intro, but an absence of knowing what to do with myself. And yeah, I would definitely say that's sort of how this came to be.
Very good. So how it's pretty loud and the kind of there's a bit of a goth feel about it. How were the
Yeah.
who'd you work with producing? Greg, well, you recorded at Massey Studio with Greg Haver, right? And Scott. So
Yeah.
what did those guys contribute to the process?
Oh, they definitely they contributed a lot to that one. I mean, we originally did the song "Skin" last year, which was our first single off of the
Right.
project, just to get a feel of how we all work together. And they're super great guys to work with. You know, Greg and Scott are very good at sort of stepping in at the right moments when we're maybe not sure of a direction that we want to go, and he's just like he knows how to chew the fat basically, and just like get to the point when we need to, and everything like that. But also, if we were on a roll with something and it was a out there idea that we really wanted to strive for, he'd leave it to Scott. He'd just go, "Yep, no, you record the guys doing what they're doing," and yeah, it was a super great process. Very very good communication between all of
Oh,
us.
good. So what was the vibe like in the studio? Because there's you and the band and the two guys, Greg and Scott. What?
Mm.
Let's pick a song. Well, "Pursuit," which is the first song thing.
Yes,
What would
yes.
the process be of putting that together? Are you playing live? Are you doing it layering? How are you working?
As this dream goes on, I've never felt quite so lost for words. Now that my body's gone into another realm, wrapped in your comfort.
Yeah, so that was a very interesting one compared to the first album, because the way that we did the whole album in order, which is something that Greg is not used to doing as
Ah,
well. Starting with the first song, ending the whole recording process on the final track there. But what we would do, and for a song like "Pursuit," we would just all get into the live room, like the big live room that was there. Would get Scott to record it. Would hear it back and would go, is this part right here? Do we need to make some arrangement changes? Everything like that. And then from there we would have the live recording that's all to the BPM and everything. And we would try and re-record some of those parts, and it would go through the whole entire thing. But there'd sometimes be, and especially in Pursuit, there'd be times when we would listen to the original live recording and we're just like, I have no idea how I did that. I have no idea how I made that sound. Well, you might as well just keep it on
yeah,
there, and
yeah.
and because it sticks so well. So it was very much a mix of like this live setting for all of the songs, as well as an actual recorded setting, which made for a very interesting and unique experience for us.
All right. Now, vocally, there's some serious shredding going on in your throat.
Absolutely.
How do you get to the point where you can do that, and how do you take care of your voice?
Sure. Yeah. So, it's been years coming. There's been a lot of improvement for myself since the first album. I would say a lot more range has been sort of unlocked. Honestly, I tee it all down to my vocal coach, Charles. He's great, and he's worked with some members of Drax Project and things like that in the past. So
Right.
I can't thank anybody but him for keeping my voice in tip top shape at this moment in time. But yeah, it's very good to actually be able to talk after gigs and not sort of just be speaking with a broken throat.
Right. But it's got to be. I mean, you have to go to someplace relatively intense internally to be able to create that sound that's on this record.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that was it was very fun, because a lot of my favorite vocalists, I sort of, Mike Patton is a good
Okay.
example, Faith No More, and Mr. Bungle.
Yep.
I very much see him more as like a voiceover, like artist sort of person. He's just very good at voice acting, basically. And that's sort of where I tried to put myself when I was recording this as well. I'm writing it from the perspective of the Blessed Ghost. How do I think that the Blessed Ghost would sound, and what sort of energy would that bring to the table? I mean, it sounds a little bit like convoluted and hard to explain when I'm doing it now, but to be able to try and put myself into the space of a different character, even when singing it, that helps a lot with the performance.
All right. Now there's there's a couple of videos. You did one for song "Small," which seems to be some kind of call and response thing going on. So, and I think if I'm not mistaken, the album is the song is kind of about a Peter Pan complex. So, tell me about the song. Tell me about the video. Tell me about everything.
You told me I'd always be your boy, but that notion was destroyed when I left behind my toys. I'll never be this young again until I live the bitter end.
Yeah, so that song, yeah, it's definitely about the Peter Pan complex of not knowing really how or when to grow up and what all of the changes are, which, yeah, it really sums up the album in quite a lot of ways there, though that was more from my perspective than maybe something necessarily Blessed Ghost related, but it was also sort of a letter to my mum as well to say, hey, I'm trying my best. I know I still make mistakes. I'm only 20 years old and I'm just trying to do the best that I can. But yeah, no, that music video was really fun to shoot because we'd come out of doing the music videos for the first album where it was all very high budget, high quality stuff. Even Skin was one of the longest videos to shoot and edit, I think. Right. And you know, moving into the new year and actually doing this new set of recordings, and we looked at all of the material and we were like, you know what? Let's just go around to my house for an afternoon and we'll do whatever we feel like. We'll have no overarching stories. We'll just strip it back and have a very basic video of just some dudes having fun. And I think that shines through in the video as well.
Uh-huh. So I'm impressed that I think you said that you went into the studio knowing the running order of the song because you recorded it in order. So that's very organized. Most bands don't work like that.
No, definitely. I don't know why it was so important at the time. I think that it was just out of fear of, well, maybe not out of fear, but it was maybe a learning process from the first album where I look back at it and I go, you know, it could have flowed a little bit nicer in between these two things, or how does the story actually progress in that first album compared to this one? And that was always something very important to keep in mind, so the flow was always going and it felt like there was a real rhythm to what was going on inside of the album there. So yeah, that sort of went hand in hand with how Greg wanted to record it as well. So was very organized, but it was only to save myself from going insane, I think, a little bit.
All right. So speaking of going insane, and the album ends with a second, the Blessed Ghost, the older now version, and then into Continuous Stimulus, which there's when it comes to screaming, I mean, so what are we getting up to? What are we building up to there at the end?
Wish you could see yourself. I hope you find that magic mirror that brings you home as well.
Yeah, so, I mean, the way that me and the boys in the band always saw it, because obviously there's the Blessed Ghost younger then at the beginning of the album, and then there's the Blessed Ghost older now when we have the whole reprise, and it sort of feels like everything is fading out, and then, you know, it's like the Blessed Ghost older now is the true ending to the movie, and then Continuous Stimulus is the ending credits, where it's just got this rock anthem to carry everything out while you're seeing the director and the actors and whatnot. So yeah, that was really the time. You know, we were at the end of the recording process, 2 weeks into it, and we just wanted to smash it out and get all of the last bits of our energy out there.
Right. So you mentioned the other guys in the band. There's Daniel, Ollie, and Jackson. So
yes,
you're obviously kind of the driving creative force. Is that okay to say? Or will they be offended?
No, I don't think so. I think they may have mentioned this before as well.
All right. So how? Tell me a little bit about each one of the three of them and how they fit into what you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. So, to start with, Ollie is our newest member of the band. I mean, this is literally his first band that he's ever been
Uh-huh.
in, and I think it was about 3 months out before we had to go and record in the studio. I'm like, hey, do you just want to join this little project we have going on? You have to learn all of these songs, and we're going to record it all in about 10 days. So to be honest, myself, I don't think I would have been able to handle being able to do that. But not only was this his first project, his first recording and everything, whenever Greg was throwing things at him, he was able to change his bass lines on the fly, just be able to do anything that he asks. He's an absolute powerhouse, and he creatively he is an awesome addition to the group. Jackson is insane on the drums. You probably heard quite a lot of those fills and continuous stimulus,
Yep.
and he plays everything just a little bit weird, but that little bit weird just adds so much flavor to all of the songs on the album. And yeah, he's got some really cool things that we're working on for the future there. But and then there's Daniel, where if you hear any ethereal soundscape or just strange noises going on the album, he is that layer. He really makes the soundscape and the dynamics of the whole entire thing. Very much inspired by a lot of early shoegaze bands, and his pedalboard shows for it.
Very good. Well, that leads me to my next question. I mean, you're only 20 years old, so you haven't had a lot of time to soak in. I mean, there's a vast amount of music out there. So,
Totally.
what would you say is the stuff that really defines where you're coming from? Where you're
Yeah. That is a good one, because I mean, we all have such varying influences. I feel like where we're all at one time is in completely different spaces, like when we were getting ready to do the album, I mean, I was listening to a lot of Interpol at the time, as well as like MGMT and MF Doom, which they're all things on pretty different spectrums there. And I think that is really what makes the band so special, is that we don't ever want to stay in the same space for too long. It's never necessarily about making it better than the last record, but just making something different to the last record, which is something that was definitely in mind when going in to record this thing as well.
all righty? So the album's out tomorrow. You got the live stream happening. What's on the horizon after that?
So we have our first gig back at Massey, as well as the full album live stream at Hivers Jams. Then after that, we are getting ready to go over the ditch to Australia to play a couple of shows in Sydney, as well as the Central Coast as well. So that's possibly one of the wildest things to come out of this for me. There's not a lot of local Wellington bands that get to make the jump across, and
So you got a good
to
following
do
over
that
there?
sort of thing. We're hoping to help it grow with the help of the band Radicals, who are playing alongside us. They have a great following over in Australia, and we're going to be bringing them back here after the tour as well in September to play a couple of shows down south, as well as up north as well. So a lot of exciting things on the horizon. I'm sure there will be more new music before the year is even out, potentially. Who knows, though? We'll see how it goes.
Excellent. Well, it sounds like it's all happening. So we'll have to catch you next time you're up here in Auckland. I'm sure it won't be that far away. Thank you very much for talking with me. Good luck with the album release tomorrow.
Hey, thank you so much, man, for having me.
My pleasure. Have a good day.